Hi class, today what we're going to do is calculate the new amount after a percent change. So yesterday we talked about percent change, but now we're adding on to that by adding new amount. In your workbook, page 96, we're going to be doing problems number 5 and 6 as well as 8. So that's your homework for tonight. Let's do a real quick review from what we learned yesterday. Let's say I have 46 pencils in my supply closet and I bought another pack, so now it increased to 100 pencils. If we're doing the percent formula, we take our large number minus our small number. Remember, that's always, no matter if it's a percent increase or a percent decrease, over our original amount. And I know my original amount is my 46 because that's the first number I come across. That's the original number of pencils I had. And then we would just go through the motions of order of operations and find a percent increase. Same thing with a percent decrease. Let's say I had 100 pencils, but then 25 students needed to borrow them, and now I have 75 pencils. So same thing here. We take large number minus our small number over our original amount. Now I know my original was 100 because I had 100 pencils, even though some disappeared. And again, we would go through the motions of doing the order of operations on both of those to find the percent increase. But today, we're adding on to that. We're finding the new amount. Now we have two different options, but we still need to remember our formula. So I want to highlight the word increase. So we had 20 books and they were increased by 40%. So we know the answer from yesterday's problem, but we don't know how much it was increased by. So this is almost the opposite of what we did yesterday. So here's our first option. It was an increase, so we're going to say large number minus small number. Well, we don't know what that large number is. But we do know our original amount of books was 20. That's what we started with. That was our first number we came across. And we know that's going to be a 40% increase. Now we can put 0.40 or we can put 40 over 100. Whatever makes it easier for you. I'm just going to do 0.40 just for this problem. Now, in order to solve for x, this is a little bit more difficult because we've never had a denominator before under both of those, but it's super easy. All we need to do is multiply, because the inverse of division is multiplication, so I'm going to multiply by 20, and that cancels out. If I multiply by 20, I need to do that on the other side. So let's grab our calculator real fast. 0.4 times 20, I'm getting 8. So x minus 20 is 8. Now the inverse of subtraction right here, or this negative 20, is a positive 20. And if I'm adding that together, I get x equals 28, and I'm going to label it books. Now that makes sense. I'm going to go back. We always need to ask ourselves, does that make sense? We have 20 books, and it's increased by 40%. We would know 50% of 20 is going to be 10. So we know our increase needs to be around 10 books, but a little under 10. And that makes sense because 8 is under 10, but it's still close to 10. So our answer makes sense. Option number 2 is going to get us the same answer of 28 books, but we're just going to go a different route. So basically we're finding out what is 40% of 20 books. So we remembered from last time that of means multiply. So we're taking our 20 books and we're going to multiply it by 40 over 100. You could do 0.40, but since I did that on this one, I'm going to do it with the 100. Over at 100 in this case. So I'm grabbing my calculator, 20 times 40 ABC button 100, and I am getting 8. Okay, now here's the second step on this one. We need to go back and we need to make an increase. So we have our increase amount, but now we need to say what is our new amount. So we're going to go 20 plus 8, that gets us 28, and then we write down books. And in both of those answers, they get us 28. The only tricky part about option number 2 is that you need to remember step number 2 because we want the new amount, not how much it was changed. Here, option number 1, it does it for us. So we don't need to remember to go back because we've already set it up in the equation right here. So whatever option you like, you're more than welcome to do on the homework, test, and quiz. But let's go ahead and look at how to do it for decrease before we stop our video. Let's look at a decrease problem. It says find the new amount, 70 members decrease by 10%. We're going to go ahead and still do option number 1 and option number 2, and you can choose which one you like best. So we're going to have our large number minus our small number, because remember we're decreasing over the original amount, just like what we did yesterday. And now we know our percentage. I'm going to go ahead and put 10 over 100 in this case. Now I want to isolate the variable, which means I want to get this x alone, so I need to get rid of my denominator first. This is almost like a fraction. The inverse of division is multiplication, so I'm going to multiply by 70, and those are going to cancel out. And if I multiply by 70, I also need to multiply by 70 on that side. Now I'm grabbing my calculator, I'm using my ABC button on this one, and I'm getting 7 on this side of the equation. So 10 over 100 times 70 is going to equal 7. And that makes sense because if we just move the decimal place over 1, we get 7. Let's continue to see what we get for our value of x. The inverse of a positive 70 is a negative 70, so I'm going to subtract 70 on both sides. That cancels out. On this side I get negative x, which is fine, and on this side I get negative 63. Now the hard part is we have a negative 1 right here. In order to get rid of that negative 1, we need to divide by negative 1. That's how those negatives are going to cancel out. Now if I divide by negative 1 on this side, I need to divide by negative 1 on that side. And that's what gets us our final answer of 63. Of course, we need to have our label. So in this problem, it says find the new amount, 70 members decrease by 10%. That is 63 members. Now let's look at option number 2. Same thing what we did before, except for now it's decreased. So we have our 70, so 70 and times our 10%. I'm going to go ahead and use it as a decimal this time. So basically we're asking ourselves, what is 10% of 70? And of, remember, means multiply. So when I do that, I'm going to get 7 members. Step number 2, 7 is not our final answer. So step number 2 is we need to go 70 minus 7 equals our 63. Of course, we need a label, so we're going to write 63 members. No matter if you chose this option or this option, it will get you the exact same answer. Now we need to ask ourselves, does 63 members as our final answer make sense? I'm going to say yes, because if we started with 70 and we're just decreasing by a small amount of 10%, we know our new amount is not going to be a big change at all. Just a real quick reminder about your homework tonight. I need you to do page 96, problems 5, 6, as well as 8. Alrighty, I will see you guys tomorrow.